Everyone, welcome to the Hot Air Podcast. It is just a lot of hot air. So, over the last little while, we have really thought about what goes into this podcast, and it's really always been about people. We've interviewed some great people over the past couple of years, and happy to get this into a nice, strong reboot. And we're coming out shooting here with something really nice. Mercedes Nicoll, who is a Olympian, snowboarder, mental health advocate, and so much more. And you're joining us today from British Columbia, specifically where in BC?
I'm in Whistler, British Columbia.
And Whistler, of course, being the home of some amazing skiing and snowboarding. So not a surprise that you did get into it. Tell me a little bit about snowboarding. When did you first snowboard?
Yeah, so I grew up skiing. My whole family, everyone in my family skis. And then we moved to Whistler full time when I was 12 years old. And it was the mid 90s and everyone was trying snowboarding. So that's kind of when I picked it up. I was probably about 13 and then 14 started competing.
So you did some figure skating too.
I did do some figure skating, yeah. So in Ontario, I was pretty competitive in figure skating. But when you move to Whistler, it's like a smaller rink, not as many opportunities. You have to drive to the city. And also that it's a different camaraderie between figure skaters and snowboarders. So I gave that up quite quickly once I moved to Whistler.
What precipitated your family's move to Whistler?
So my dad actually was supposed to go to the Olympics for ski racing, but he broke his leg, unfortunately. Similar story to current Derek Livingston, who was supposed to go to his third Olympics, but he just broke his leg, so he's not able to compete there. So yeah, he was a skier through and through. He worked for a real estate company, which took us from Vancouver to Toronto for 9 years, and then he retired out here in 95 when I was 12.
Did you have any thoughts about taking up skiing, or what really led you to make the switch to go sideways and do the snowboard?
Yeah, no, good question. I had kind of skied everything on Whistler and Blackcomb, and I was just looking for a new challenge. And snowboarding was that, and all my friends were kind of doing it. And then it snowballed into being the sport that came quite quickly and easily to me. And it kind of had a natural talent for it. And I honestly probably didn't put skis on for 10 years after that.
What would you tell a skier to convince them to become a snowboarder?
It's a quick learning curve. It only takes about 3 days to learn. But you're gonna be a little bit sore. But I don't know. It's just something different. It's a different way to get around the mountain, if you're looking to kinda challenge yourself and change things up a little bit.
By the way, the two body parts that are going to hurt are going to be your knees and your butt.
Yeah. And watch out for those wrists. People seem to break their wrists a lot.
So tell me about the Olympic experience, because I believe it started in 2010 for you. So what's the moment when you're like, yeah, I could be doing this and I could be doing it here?
Yeah, actually 2006. So, went to 4 games, and it started in Italy. But before that, it was the 2002 Olympics. I kinda had just gotten on the national team when I was, 16, I think, and we were in Chile, and, everyone was trying to qualify for the 2002 Winter Olympics, and it was, I believe, one of the last contests to qualify, and here I am fresh on the scene. I'm like, I wanna go to the Olympics too, and I was like, "No, it takes, a full year of competing to qualify for the Olympics." So that kinda put the fire under me. It was really cool back in the day because halfpipe was the only freestyle event, and to see so many amazing snowboarding is like a pretty small bubble, and to see the people that wanted to go to the Olympics. I mean, obviously, there's Terry Hackinson who boycotted the Olympics, and he didn't go, doesn't believe in that kind of stream of snowboarding. But the other people, I was like, this is cool. Like, I want to compete against the best of the best. So, yeah, it was probably 2001 when I was in Chile that I was like, all right. And then I had to wait 4 more years because they happen every 4 years.
I'm trying to remember if I think it was announced that Vancouver would be a host in 2010. So I'm
Yeah.
thinking like, okay, I'm going to go in 2006, but down the road, I'm going to get a shot right in my own backyard.
Well, I didn't know that, like, they didn't call that until after my first games, and sport's pretty political. I almost changed. My parents are both English. I almost changed to the UK, a couple of times. I looked into it, and then when I heard the Olympics were gonna be in Canada, I was like, "Nope, I want to." Now I know what the Olympics are all about. I want to walk in last, with the home country and hear that crowd, and I don't regret that.
So that's come up a couple of times. By the way, did not know that you had that option.
Mhm.
But we've heard and seen that pop up a few times. We see it a lot in soccer where, you make a decision to play for Canada or maybe for England. So what were some of the decisions that went in for you to play for Canada, even though we know it was going to be in Canada, but what are you weighing when you're thinking about that?
Funding for sure. It's not easy to be a Canadian athlete by any means. Luckily, I had amazing sponsors at the time, but I mean, at the same time, it's I couch surfed my way to the 2010 games. Like, I was sleeping on friends' couches at competitions in Colorado and kind of everywhere. So it wasn't easy, and I thought maybe there was more funding, with the UK, and also I didn't really get along with the coach. So I was really doing everything on my own and living in the States on my own without coaching and stuff like that. So
I'm going to assume that you have to do the hustling too to get your funding corporately. I mean, if you do run into a corporate sponsor and then, here you are a snowboarder, it's a little bit renegade,
yeah, exactly.
with the snowboard. And if they're going to be allotting funds for corporate sponsorship, I think with the Winter Olympics, I mean, the sexy one's always figure skating. And then
Oh,
maybe,
I don't think they get that many corporate sponsors. They're it's just tough to be a Canadian athlete, so donate where you can, everyone.
so who did help you out in the end?
So I had 10 years I was on Powder Room, which is a Canadian outerwear company. And then I had Drake snowboards. Like my whole kit was fulfilled and I got gear, but I also did get paid to snowboard, which makes a big difference. Nowadays, probably a little bit more difficult for everyone out there. The first thing to go when the economy is not great is marketing. And so then the athletes are the marketing, and that is what goes. So 2008 was a banger for snowboarding, losing a lot of funds there. And then, yeah, 2014, that company got bought and then folded. The Powder Room outerwear company was my main one for a long time, which was, I'm so grateful. We went on amazing trips. Like, so they, a funny story actually, they make catalogs obviously for all the gear. And this is one of the companies that started long ago using the athletes in the catalogs rather than models, which I completely respected. But we went on the craziest trips. Like on one of our last catalog shoots, we were in Vegas and we went to shot at all of the wedding chapels. And in the girls' catalog, we were the brides in the snow gear. And in the guys' catalog, we were the brides in bridesmaids dress in brides dresses and bridesmaids dresses.
The Olympics seem rather cruel because if you fall, you don't really get a chance to redeem yourself for 4 years. And then I look at someone like Tom Brady who gets another chance next week for,
Yeah.
17 consecutive weeks. And if you're a hockey player, there's 84 games. And I know there's a little finality with the playoffs and such. But, you know, what is it like just before you're about to go down the hill on your first run at the Olympics? How can you not like combust?
There's definitely nerves going on, and you just gotta I mean, it's different for everyone. Some people just gotta, like, dance it out at the top. Some people are, like, visualizing their runs. I probably did a little bit of both of those, and I also had music in, my ears to kinda let me, like, calm my nerves and think about something else, but you're just, like, in focus overdrive because it's really, like, 30 seconds that you're about to go down and do your first run, and then if you land your first run, you're, like, relieved and you can go back up and try and do something a little bit better.
Do you have any other techniques that you would use to quell performance anxiety?
Oh, yeah, breath work.
Okay.
Yeah, there's, like, the one where you use your fingers and close one nose and hole and then the other and stuff like that, so, for sure, breath work helps a lot.
You know what? I wanna I'm so upset with myself because I'm supposed to know that technique. I know the technique, I just don't know the formal name of it.
Yeah, 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 me neither, I mean but it works, I mean, if you can do it, that's all that matters.
Oh,
Yeah, you, like, close. You have your thumb on one and then your
4th
2nd
finger.
finger on the other, and then you breathe in one nostril and then close it, and then it looks silly, but it's very calming.
Yeah, for someone who's taken yoga for 10 years, I should have that one down, but I just when we're live and having the discussion, it's just I got nothing there.
It just leaves your brain, that's okay.
What's a backside 900?
A backside 900 is 2 full rotations in the half pipe. So you go up, regular well, I'm a regular rider, so my left foot's forward, and I do 2 full spins up a 22-foot wall, outside of 22-foot wall, 2 full rotations, and land with my left foot forward. So left foot you start with your left foot, 2 full rotations, and you land with your left foot forward.
And was that the move that where you had your fall in
Mhm.
Sochi?
Yeah, so in Sochi, it's interesting if people are watching the Olympics right now, they'll notice there's kind of a chalky consistency in the snow. It's all man-made snow. And if you go back to Sochi, which I know is a long time ago, 8 years ago, that was more like granular snow. It was kind of like if you were walking through, it's kinda like walking through sand. It was not good snow. All the moisture had been sucked out of it, so it wasn't binding to each other, therefore making it really tricky in the half pipe because sometimes you'd go up the wall and it would be fine, it would be hard, and sometimes the wall would just, like, give away, or even the flat bottom, which is in the middle of the half pipe when you're going across at your, like, top speed. Um, Sometimes that would just crack open to this, like, sandy snow, and you just ate crap right there, which was awful. So for me, I was, my last round of practice taking off to do a backside 900, and the snow on the like, right on my takeoff gave away. I have video of it, and you can kinda see that. So I couldn't get my full rotation in, and I ended up clipping the deck, landing, on my hip and face, but I did get back up and compete because I didn't know I was super concussed at the time until later that evening.
So looking back on those Olympics and thinking about, the background, it was very green. There was a lot of green. So here's a ski hill with some snow.
Where are we talking?
Sochi.
Oh, Sochi. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They had to push a lot of snow down.
Yeah. And then you're looking around, wait a second, there's a lot of green in and around the area. It doesn't look right. And I'm
Well,
beginning
normally we have a test event the year before, and there was so much snow, like, we rode powder and there were avalanches, and that hill out there was amazing. It was all-time, like, really cool, but, yeah, you think back to Vancouver too, where they were, like, trucking in snow, and you're just like, "Is this gonna happen?" And then in Sochi, they had to, like, bring snow down from the top of the mountain. It was warm, and I personally prefer a warm Olympics. It's better for the half pipe, a little softer, a little more forgiving. Obviously, not great conditions in Sochi, but they're competing right now in like -18, and I remember Korea being really cold, like one of the coldest places too.
So you found out later that night you had a concussion
Mhm. At the bar.
at the bar.
Yeah. Yeah, I walked into, the bar and, the lights and the sound got me and I puked right away, and I was like, "Oh, I think I'm pretty concussed."
There's really not much you can do for a concussion other than just let it heal. Am I right? I mean, your rehab is just,
It takes time,
yeah, it's time.
nothing but time. Yeah, and a lot of like, when I came home, I had to do, luckily, I have, like, a solid crew of staff that help me here in just in the community, and my doctor was like, you should probably go to the optometrist. And I was like, why do I need to go to the optometrist? And they're like, your eyes aren't tracking properly. So not only was I just in bed, but I had to do things with my eyes to get them tracking properly. And that also made me feel sick. There's so many different symptoms when you have a concussion too.
And it wasn't just a concussion. I think you had a hip injury to go along with that.
Yeah, I had smashed my hip, so that was kinda like a bone bruise to the hip, which is really annoying because, if you hit something, you normally get a bruise and you see it. This was, like, so internal that, like, a bone bruise takes, like, a year to heal, and you don't always see the bruising come out, and I also smashed my face, so I had a black eye here for a month, which was also, like, a bone bruise to my orbital bone there. And then I had 2 vertebrae out of place that I didn't know about and, probably cracked a bunch of ribs, but that's normal.
So when did your mental health start to become an issue for you when you were, um, for you? When did you recognize that mental health was an obstacle for you in your training?
I probably should have recognized it when I was in bed for 3 months in a dark room alone. Um, but I mean, it took me a year when I saw a neuropsych, and he was like, "Oh, well, you're over your depression, like, you're okay." And I'd already seen probably 14 different doctors by then and didn't know I just knew my personality was gone. I didn't know I was depressed. But I think it does take that time to kind of realize and reflect on what you went through once you're out of it to know that there was that depression. I don't know. It's a weird situation to be put in because you're just like, am I going to be me again? I don't know. Is this dull person with no light me now? But I worked really hard to kind of get that back and get sport back in my life. So yeah, it was for sure at least a year until I figured it out.
So the first time that I spoke with you,
Mhm.
we met in Mexico,
Yeah. 'Cause I was depressed this fall, like, big time.
but you went to go get some sun, which is a good
Yeah.
thing. Did it work?
Yeah, in a global pandemic, I left the country.
But it worked, right?
And it did a little bit. It took a couple weeks for the vitamin D to, like, sink in and for me to realize, like, "Okay, you're gonna be okay," but also I did a podcast series where I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm not doing anything that I've learned over the years, like, I'm not setting any tiny goals, I'm not working out, I'm not taking vitamin D while I was in Whistler," and, yeah, it's easy to fall off track sometimes, so, yeah, Mexico did help for sure.
Who's your celebrity crush?
That's such a random question and hard to think about on the spot. Um I mean, I just started watching Euphoria, so it might be that actor Jacob, even though he's an asshole. Oh, can I swear here?
Yep.
Oh, even though he's an asshole in that, but he's in the kissing booth and he's really nice. Jacob, I don't know what his name is.
Okay,
He's
so you
young.
get to take him on a trip.
Oh, but Casey from oh my gosh, sorry. Then
Okay.
it's like Yellowstone and Luke Grimes because he's older and but he's married.
So you get to go to one resort on planet Earth,
Yeah.
take him snowboarding.
I
Where
don't
are you
think they'd
going?
like that.
Where are you going, though?
Probably here, probably Whistler. I love it here. Unless we could like an ultimate budget, I would go to Japan.
What is it about Japan that I don't know about?
They're super nice there. It's nice to go there. And B, the snow's usually really light and fluffy and kind of untouched powder everywhere. You don't have to race for it.
I assume that you, by the way, you're recording this at 9 in the morning your time. I thought that was early, but then I remembered we're in the middle of the Olympics.
Yeah.
So you staying up late or getting up early to watch?
It seems that like all the extreme sports happen to be in the evening. So I was up till midnight yelling at my computer and TV. Um, because it was the end of the women's snowboard cross where we got a bronze. It's so exciting for me. I didn't think it would be this exciting for me, to be completely honest.
What did you think? How did you think it was gonna be for you? Because this is sort of, the first one you're not really
Yeah.
involved with.
Yeah. I mean, I have a lot of energy. Sometimes people ask me if I drink coffee, and I don't, because this is just me without coffee. So it would be awful with coffee. Um, I didn't know what to expect, honestly. Like, would I be sad? Would I be happy? And I'm just overjoyed watching it. I'm sad that I'm not there with my teammates because half of the team I have been to those games before. So I definitely miss that, and I miss like seeing everyone. But I'm pretty much just yelling at people through my TV, so I feel like they can feel it.
Who's your best friend who's at the Olympics competing?
Ah, I don't know. That's a tough one. I would say it would probably be like a coach who's it's like Mael, because I grew up with her and she's coaching the border cross. I got a lot of friends in the hockey team, and I used to get to see them all the time when I was in Calgary, like Rebecca, Jill, and Pooh. So I was like real legit yelling at the TV when the hockey was on and someone was touching Rebecca Johnson. I was like, do not touch her, do not mess with her. But no, there's like tons of people like the sliders, the bobsledders, the lugers. You kind of become like a close family at the winter games because there's smaller villages and less athletes, and you just kind of all hang out together.
I do know that you like to paint.
Yeah.
What do you paint?
I use acrylics and I kind of paint whatever I feel like. So if I see something and I just want to do it, I've done a couple pandas. I just finished this like little, I don't even know what it is. It's like a fox slash panda. I just see things and then I paint them, or I have like a dream and then I'll paint that.
And also on the artistic side, you've got a podcast.
I do.
Why did you start a podcast?
Brent asked me to start a podcast. And I was like, "Are you sure? Okay." Um, I didn't know really what I was getting myself into, but I actually really love it. I love asking everyone questions. Like, that is my education for me. I can ask, like, anyone anything and get away with it.
On the podcast journey, you've got about 30 plus episodes already up there.
Over 50 now.
50 now.
Woo! Yeah, can't believe it.
What have you learned by doing a podcast?
Oh, I've learned, okay, so actually I was on an interview with a snowboarder and I was like, "Would you ever like to do like editing?" And he was like, "Yes." And I was like, "I never want to do that. That sounds awful to me." I had to like learn how to do all of it. I'm a one gal show over here on Dropping In, and I'm pretty grateful for that. It's like full control. I can work at my own pace, and yeah, learned a lot.
Did you ever think that you would have to, edit audio and
No,
about your
never.
sound at such a level?
No. No, got to know GarageBand and iMovie pretty well. It's been a journey for sure. It's funny. It's like, "Okay, we're gonna do a podcast." And I was like, "Okay, I've learned how to do the audio." And then the network's like, "Okay, we want you on YouTube." And I was like, "Oh, okay, I didn't think that was ever gonna happen." And then we're going live now, which is I haven't done yet, but I'm pre-recording things. And then also really cool in Whistler, I'm on the local channel. Um, some of my episodes are up there on TV. So last night I was flicking through the channels and I was like, "Ooh, do I watch the Olympics?" But Dropping In is on. Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, so you're part of the Dean Blundell Network, which is something that we're working with now these days. And I've gotten to know your podcast over the last little while, and of course, gotten to to know you as well. And we've decided to do this live today.
Yeah.
I'm not comfy with the live thing as much. Are you more audio or are you more video?
I feel like I'm both. I kind of just make it work for both. When I record now, I just make it seem like it's going live, but I haven't done that yet.
I know it's a little ways in the future. We're in February. Then you got the Olympics. What are you going to be doing after the Olympics are done?
Well, we got the Paralympics, which I've never been able to watch because if you're a competitor at the Olympics, at least for snowboarding and freestyle, there's still events after the Olympics. So I was always off competing at more competitions after the Olympics. It's not the be all and end all of the season. So yeah, we got the Paralympics coming up, and then I'll be in Whistler. I do a ride with an Olympian program for Whistler Blackcomb, so it's an opportunity for guests to take a private lesson with me here, which I love. And then I'll be working on the podcast too.
All the connection points to everything mentioned here, by the way, are going to be in the show notes of the episode. For those of you who are watching live, you can watch for that. Your podcast is available, of course, wherever great podcasts are passed out, and your website, which I have scrolling along the bottom here, which is at mercedesnicoll.com.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for being on this podcast. I really enjoyed it.
Thanks for having me. I hope everyone's having fun watching the Olympics. I know I am. So thanks, everyone.